test. She been through some, and also I feel like up north everybody pimping little girls. And no offense, not everybody, but if I just keep learning about different pimping cases where it's like, oh, that's what these dudes do. They just find these girls when they're super
They said that
young.
a lot of my comments. They're talking about the culture of the Bay and all that. And I ain't go because I don't know that to be fact. So I ain't go. You know what I'm saying?
Well, definitely pimping is a huge part of their culture up there. Like from my understanding, it's all bad technically if you underage, but I done seen it down here, up here, and in other states, people pimping out underage girls. So,
hey, my thing is
all bad.
It's all bad.
Well, what I get out of talking to him, he look for certain things in bitches, like, you know what I'm saying, whether they like he look for their weak spots or they have some trauma. That's why he gonna keep fucking with bitches that's kind of cuckoo or something like that. Cause old girl from the Instagram, you could tell she not all ear. You know what I'm saying?
But
Absolutely. And that is an important point to make. This type of behavior is not just a Bay Area issue. It is a worldwide issue, and every region has its own version of it. Whether somebody is talking about certain parts of the Bay Area, Los Angeles on Figueroa Street, or anywhere else. The ugly truth is that there will always be predatory individuals who look for vulnerability, weakness, inexperience, and a lack of protection. That is really what this comes down to at its core. It is not about love, guidance, or care. It is about power, access, manipulation, and control. A lot of older individuals who move like this are not choosing younger girls by accident. In many cases, they are doing it because they believe a younger person is easier to influence, easier to pressure, and easier to confuse. A younger person may not yet have the life experience, emotional development, or discernment to fully understand when someone is grooming them, manipulating them, or trying to take advantage of them. An older predator may know exactly what to say, how to present themselves, and how to make the situation look normal when it is anything but normal. They may offer attention, money, compliments, gifts, rides, false protection, or a sense of belonging. To a young person who may be dealing with instability, low self-esteem, trauma, neglect, or a desire to grow up too fast, that can be very easy to fall for. And like you said, it is often easier to mold somebody when they are young. A person who is still figuring out life may not recognize game when it is being run on them. Meanwhile, somebody older and more experienced can usually spot manipulation quicker. They have already seen the warning signs. They know when somebody is being slick, when somebody is trying to use them, and when someone's intentions are not pure. Predators understand that. That is why they often do not go after women who are fully grown, seasoned, and able to challenge their behavior. Instead, they seek out somebody they think they can overpower mentally, emotionally, financially, or socially. That is what makes this behavior so foul. It is not just immoral, it is cowardly. It is a person knowingly targeting someone with less power, and there is no real excuse for it. There are plenty of grown women in the world who willingly engage in adult relationships and adult activity. So, when a grown man chooses to deal with an underage girl, that says something very serious about his character. It shows he is not looking for an equal. He is looking for someone he believes he can control. That is not manhood. That is predatory behavior. It is also important to say clearly that even if an underage girl approaches an older man willingly, that still does not make it right. That does not remove responsibility from the adult. The grown person is supposed to be the one with the maturity, judgment, restraint, and moral line that cannot be crossed. Children and teenagers are not expected to have the same decision-making ability as adults. That is exactly why the burden falls on the adult to shut it down, walk away, and protect the boundary. Any man who blames the young girl in that situation is exposing himself even more, because he's admitting that instead of acting like the adult in the room, he chose to act on selfish desire. And your point about family is powerful too. A lot of these same men have mothers, sisters, daughters, nieces, aunties, and grandmothers. So the real question is always this: would they be comfortable seeing a much older man pursue the young women in their own family the same way? Most of them would be outraged. Most of them would call it disgusting, disrespectful, predatory, and dangerous. That is because deep down, they already know it is wrong. They just separate themselves from accountability when it is them doing it. But wrong is wrong, no matter who does it. A lot of people also fail to realize that this kind of behavior rarely stays hidden forever. Sometimes it catches up through the judicial system. An older man may think he is getting away with something in the moment, but eventually evidence surfaces, people talk, messages get exposed, families get involved, and the law can step in. Once that happens, he is not just dealing with embarrassment. He could be dealing with criminal charges, registration requirements, loss of freedom, damaged reputation, financial ruin, broken family ties, and a permanent stain on his name. Something he may have treated like a game can end up costing him the rest of his life, and even outside of the court system, life has a way of bringing things back around. A man may ignore the pain he causes somebody else's child, but then one day, he has a daughter of his own. Then suddenly it becomes personal. Suddenly he understands the fear, the anger, and the helplessness that comes with knowing there are predators in the world. Suddenly he realizes what it feels like to want to protect someone innocent from being manipulated and harmed. By that point, he may finally understand the damage he helped normalize. That is one of the harshest realities of life. Some people do not grasp the seriousness of wrongdoing until it touches their own household. But by then, the damage they did to others has already been done. This is also why communities have to stop brushing this behavior off, making jokes about it, or acting like it is just part of the culture. Anything that harms children and exploits vulnerability should never be normalized. Too often, people stay quiet because the person involved has money, status, street reputation, influence, or connections. But silence only protects the predator. It does not protect the young. If anything, it gives that person more confidence to keep doing it. Communities have to get more serious about calling it out, checking it, reporting it, and making it clear that predatory behavior is not acceptable under any circumstance. Another part of the solution is education. Young people need real guidance, not just lectures after the damage is done. They need to understand grooming, manipulation, false promises, coercion, and red flags. They need to know that not every compliment is harmless, not every gift is genuine, and not every older person showing attention has good intentions. Parents, relatives, schools, mentors, and community leaders all play a role in that. The more young people understand how predators operate, the harder it becomes for predators to succeed. Men also need to hold other men accountable. Too often, some will privately admit something is wrong, but publicly remain silent because they do not want conflict, they do not want to snitch, or they do not want to ruin relationships. But if a man really stands for integrity, he cannot selectively apply morals only when it is convenient. Real principles mean speaking up even when the person involved is your friend, your associate, or somebody respected. Looking the other way is not neutrality. It is complicity. At the same time, society has to do a better job of creating support systems for vulnerable young girls. A lot of predators look for those who feel unseen, unsupported, or disconnected. When a young person is dealing with a broken home, poverty, neglect, abandonment, or emotional pain, it becomes easier for somebody older to slide in and present themselves as a savior. That is why the answer cannot just be punishment after the fact. There also has to be prevention before the fact. More mentorship, stronger family support, safe spaces, counseling, supervision, and honest communication can make a real difference. The solution starts with boundaries, accountability, and protection. Adults need to be held to a hard line with no excuses. Communities need to stop romanticizing predatory behavior and start exposing it for what it is. Families need to educate young girls on manipulation and grooming early, not after something happens. Men need to check other men instead of enabling them, and the legal system needs to continue taking these cases seriously so people understand there are real consequences. Most importantly, young people need stronger support systems so they are less vulnerable to those who prey on confusion, loneliness, and inexperience. Final thought. At the end of the day, a grown man dealing with an underage girl is not showing power, game, or status. He is showing a lack of discipline, morals, and respect. Any man who takes advantage of someone who is still developing is not winning at life. He is exposing the worst parts of himself. What a person does to the vulnerable says everything about their character. And one way or another, whether through the law, public exposure, guilt, or life bringing it back to their own doorstep. That kind of behavior has a way of catching up. Real men protect the young. They do not exploit them.